Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today is Thursday, August 6, 2026. Appreciate everyone that's with us in attendance as well as those that are with us online. First thing we need to do is come out of executive session, so I'll entertain a motion to go out of executive session.
Make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce, seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. We are out of executive session. Let the record show that all 5 commissioners are present. Ask everyone to please stand for a brief invocation and pledge. If you would bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for the many blessings of life. We ask that you lead, guide, and direct us as we carry out the business of this county. Anything that we accomplish, we'll give you the honor and glory in Christ's name. We do ask and pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any announcements on the board? We move on to the approval of minutes. First up, we have the minutes work session held on July 16th, 2026. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3 with 1 abstention. Next up, we have minutes of the voting session held on July 16, 2026. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3 with 1 abstention. Next up, we have the approval of the agenda. Have no changes to the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And the agenda is approved 4-0. No one signed up for public comment in this section? All right, we'll move on to the public hearings. First up, we have amendment of Chapter 121, Land Use Zoning, second of 2 hearings. First hearing was held on July 16, 2026. Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During the month of July, we've gotten a lot of good input from the members of the Board of Commission, from citizens, from members of the Long Range Planning Committee, from the County Attorney's Office. The original submitted draft as a text amendment to Chapter 121, Land Use, included possible changes to residential zoning districts, commercial uses, data centers, and a small amount of other miscellaneous items, including state EPD. The environmental folks asked that county staff do a small change within the zoning part to better align with their standards. And so in July, based on a lot of input from various folks, the direction has been to amend the larger request to be a smaller version. And staff's recommendation at this time would be to have the public hearing and then consider having a possible motion second and a vote just on data centers, and these would be additional restrictions. There's already some that the board approved in April, and since there's been significant input, concern from citizens and the Board of Commissioners that still we may need even more safeguards in place. There's no data centers of significance in Dawson County, no proposals at this time, but really to have the additional restrictions, and then just to be more in line with the state environmental folks, small environmental changes. That's staff's request at this time, that BOC consider passing this part of it, and then if there's other discussion to be had, other motions to be had separately related to the residential, the commercial, that's also fine. But staff would just ask that since data centers, there's universal consensus that better, more additional restrictions about data centers is a good thing, that BOC consider that first. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to go over any of this. We discussed a good bit of it in July, so any questions right now?
Questions for Richard? Thank you. All right, so at this time, I'll open up the hearing. We have had one person sign up, and that is Mr. Michael Turner. Come on up, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Michael Turner, 51 Hedgewood Lane, Dawsonville, Georgia. I spoke in the last hearing. You've got my comments about the affordability issues here with housing in Dawson County. That still remains the situation. If you go back to 1980, in Dawson County, we had 50 homes per 100 citizens in this county. Today, we have 41 homes per 100 citizens in this county. So we're actually going the wrong way in affordability over the last 5 decades. And the folks that need housing the most are at the bottom end of the spectrum, or the missing middle, as we call it in the industry. And this regulation will curtail any opportunity for that segment of housing to be addressed. The top end is fine. It's the lower end where we have to be vigilant and careful about what we're doing with regulations and how we add cost to housing. So I would ask you to follow the recommendation of the Long Range Planning Committee to table this measure for at least 12 months and to realize that what was done last year did its job. It has cooled housing and development in this county. And Mr. Osborne can give you all the statistics about where we stand today with building, developing, and permits. And to that end, I ask you to give the regulations that have been in place already time to work. And we've got another bite at this apple coming up when we redo the comp plan in 18 months. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so it's the only one that signed up. Don't think anybody else is here. So with that, I'll close the hearing. What is the pleasure of the board?
I want to say a couple things.
Okay?
So I pulled a little bit of information. I sent you guys all an email, including Long Range Planning Committee. A couple of things that I was looking at just with the overall. So Richard had talked about potentially splitting things out if we're not all in agreement to do the whole thing. So about data centers, and then we have the special use permit for some of the commercial businesses in Dawson County because we are oversaturated specifically to the 400 corridor. And then there's the moving our minimum from 1,200 square feet to 1,500 square feet. There's a lot of like moving pieces in this. So I just want to address a couple of them. The data center, I am all for making that as strict as possible so that that one does not come to Dawson County. I did want to talk about I think there was a little bit of confusion. I talked to Richard earlier today on the square footage in RSR MM. Is that correct, Richard? It's an 800 square foot minimum for modular homes. And apparently that was presented to also move up to 1,500 square feet. That is incorrect from my perspective. I wanted it to stay at 800 square feet in that specific zoning. I did pull, I had Leah and Jordan pull a report for me showing, I think it's in the past 2 years, of all the permits that have been pulled for that, for modular in that zoning, 23% of them are 800, or below 1,200 square feet. So I think it's important that we keep that at 800 square feet as part of the proposal and not the 1,500 square feet. And I know RA, it stayed 800, correct? Okay. As far as the affordability, I did pull another report, and this is for anywhere from 23 years old and older. Of all the permits built for homes in Dawson County in the past 2 years, so 24 and from July of 24 to July of 26, there's been 902 permits that have been completed, meaning they have a CO, or they've been issued a license and they don't have their CO yet, but they're still building. 99.98% of those is over 1,500 square feet. So I'm not seeing really an issue there with moving the square footage up to 1,500 square feet. These are with custom homes and neighborhood built homes. And those numbers do include, so 2108, if you take out the 550 square feet for heated or unheated, it's still, that number remains 99.98%. I also just wanted to make a couple of notes on, again, Mike, I appreciate you talking. Jane, you and I have spoke. I do appreciate everything that committee does. I respect it, and like I said, we won't always agree. And obviously, that's why we have a whole board, because we don't always agree on everything, and it takes a lot of different perspectives and ideas to come together to make a vote. But I just want to point out that, you know, the proposals for lowering or getting a special use for some of these commercial, they don't prohibit the development. They simply just give the county the ability to evaluate certain projects to ensure they're appropriate for their location. Because at the end of the day, 400 Corridor, we have, I think, 5 things currently sitting there empty, 3 of which have become new businesses and then they become empty again. And the last thing we want is for it to build up into this corridor and then a bunch of things sitting empty and left not being taken care of, which it is not the county's responsibility once they sit there. And I don't want that. So I just think it's important that we do right by our citizens, and instead of having those things left sitting there, that we do our part and evaluate it further to see, hey, do we need this in our area? That's as far as that goes. And then the proposed 1 acre minimum lot size is a planning tool. Its purpose is to help manage growth while obviously preserving the rural character our citizens have repeatedly said that they want to protect. The rural character isn't a new objective. It's a guiding principle already established in our comp plan, and it's our responsibility to implement that vision. I think with the 1 acre minimum, the idea is we've heard it from everybody that we're behind on infrastructure. Well, we finally have T-SPLOS, we are catching up, but if we continue to grow while trying to catch up, we always stay behind. And we've all said that we want proactive versus reactive. So for me, the idea was to implement these things over the next couple of years until we do establish the new comp plan, and maybe then it should change. But for now, it's not just people on Facebook. I think somebody said that, don't just listen to the people on Facebook. Well, I'm not. I get phone calls all the time, especially in mine and Chad's district, constantly about the growth, the traffic, the amount of neighborhoods, how close the houses are together, how poorly built the houses are. I mean, it's a constant thing that we're having to try and mitigate, and I see this as a way to mitigate just that, even if it's a temporary fix until we can get caught up in other areas, and to slow growth in this way. I do agree that what we changed in 2025, at the end of 2025, is working, but I also believe that this should have been implemented alongside that so that they could work cohesively together. And I just don't see where waiting a year would be beneficial when it needs to happen now instead of us just kicking the can down the road per the usual. So that's kind of where I stand on that. But Mike, I do appreciate the points for sure. So thank y'all.
Go ahead.
On the data you just presented about the 98 or whatever percentage Did you have them look at the zoning conditions on those housing? Because quite often, when we go through the entitlement process, one of the conditions is we have a minimum square footage of 1,800, 2,000, 1,500, even though you might be able to build more. So there's no opportunity to build that smaller house if the zoning condition says you can't build that. So I'm not saying your data's flawed. I'm saying there's no opportunity to show anything smaller because the zoning condition presented that, if in fact there was that zoning condition.
So the zoning condition was 1,200 square feet for all of these, and that was the minimum. And there are a couple that are, like, the smallest one was 988 square feet. And then there's a couple in the 10 and thousands at 13, but then it really gets up to like 16, 17. And those are included in the 22. So there's 22 homes in the past 2 years that are below 1,500 square feet. And that is, like, the lowest one is 1979. So 15, that's above 15, but I was including heated or unheated space, you know, because that has to be part of the house.
Right.
So out of that, there's only 22 homes that are below that. And the zoning was 1,200 square feet.
All right, thank you.
Well, I'll comment on reference to the, I'm not ready to go to 1,500 square feet over the 12, just based on the fact of affordability, because that adds, you know, several $1,000s to, regardless of whether it's heated or not, you're going to have to pay for per square foot, is what it boils out to. And I'll disagree with the fact that I think we should get more of the effect of what we've done already in the 2025 rewrite. We've done 2 rewrites in the last 3 years. Obviously, the one we did in 2023 has shown a positive effect of slowing growth. Nothing has come online since we did the 2025 rewrite, and there's nothing in the hopper that has been a couple of inquiries, and when they went through the stuff, they said no. So I think we should wait and see, you know, how that's going to affect, because we've not had, it's been since 2022 since we had more than, we had a subdivision approved that was more than 2 per acre. So in the last 4 years, the only thing that's been approved, obviously, is the one over here, and it's less than 2 acres. I still have a concern with the cost of land on the east side and lowering that to 1 house per acre, and the cost for that even makes it even more unaffordable for people to be able to build a home and buy a home. And in reference to the commercial piece of this thing, you know, I'm not 100% against that commercial piece as long as there are some guidelines established before it's approved. The board would go by in reference to either approving or denying a special use permit. But to have no guidelines right now that other than, you know, do we think there's too many? That's not good enough for me. I'm not willing to pass something other without some guidelines to go along with that. I fully support the data center control. I fully support the environmental changes that the state wants us to do, but that's where I'm at on that at the moment.
I'm just going to be very brief here. Alexa and I spent a lot of time kind of going through this, and I, like Alexa, see this as the vision moving forward on a personal level, to try to get us back to the rural feel of the community in which we are. Richard and I also spent a lot of time last September, October, making sure that we made those changes at that time. So, you know, hearing the board, I'm okay if we, you know, focus today on the data centers and the environmental aspect of it. But I think as we open up this comp plan, we need to look very closely to what changes that we made, proposed changes that we made to the chapter as we go through the comp plan.
I guess it's my turn. The data center thing, that's an easy one, and we all agree on that, I believe, and that's to additional controls in that for various reasons. The environmental thing, that's an easy one. As we get down to the 1 unit per acre, there's nobody on this board that I've ever heard that is encouraging high-density residential development. There was a lot of energy and effort and intentionality that went into the changes that we made less than a year ago, really. The facts, the data behind the changes that was made. I was telling somebody the other day is I like data, but sometimes data does not exist when something doesn't happen. So there might be an occasion where 3 months ago a developer looked at Dawson County and said, let me look at the zoning ordinances, and just decided then and there and said, I can't come and make those numbers work. So he went away. It's not anything that we captured. So I do feel like, but what we did capture is the lack of applications. And so the needle has been moved. The feedback that I hear is the tract home concern, the cookie cutter tract home concern, which is higher densities, higher volume. You throw in a bunch of houses in a consolidated area, which puts traffic concentration on smaller areas. My fear is going to the 1 acre goes beyond that and starts affecting individual citizens' ability to build their own house outside of a neighborhood. If my family owned a lake lot for 50 years and it's a 3/4 acre lake lot, now I have a 1 acre standard, I couldn't build on that lot. So to me right now, I am not for additional residential development in general, but that takes it a little too far when it comes to private property rights with individuals. I think it's important that as we look at, we have 2 different tools in our toolbox. We have our ordinances, zoning ordinances, and then we also have the future land use plan. And both, I think the chairman and Commissioner Stivers alluded to, these 2 should run concurrent. And I think a lot of the feedback that we get from the land use plan is what drives our surgical approach when we look at how we change and massage the ordinances. And to me, they should run concurrently. The land use plan is really driven from the public's feedback to us, not even to us as board. I mean, we're part of the process, but that's really a public-driven document. These decisions are really, with public feedback, are driven by the board. But those 2 should work hand in glove. And so I look forward to trying to expedite the engagement of the future land use plan. I think we're 18 months away, but we start, we had a conversation earlier briefly. We need to start that process now. We need to start identifying the dates and getting that thing lined up to go ahead and start making sure that we're on track to do that as soon as possible. And we need to be very diligent and intentional about gaining public feedback on that, because that's, again, a document that really drives where we go for the next many years. And so it's my mindset, all that to say, I'm good on proceeding with the data center restrictions. I'm good on the environmental changes. I would like to hold off on the 1 acre process right now and those additional constraints until we get concurrent with the future land use plan.
Okay. All right. Motions.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amendments to Chapter 121 in relation to data centers and environmental protection changes. Is that sufficient, Richard?
Have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers and seconded by Commissioner Gaines in reference to adopting the changes to the data centers and environmental protections.
We'll do it separate. Separate motion to table the
Okay.
residential and the
All right, so we have that with a,
This is just for data centers and environmental
Just for data
Yes,
centers and
data centers, environmental piece.
Yep.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Okay. Try it again. And those two piece changes are approved 4-0.
Now I'll make a motion that we table the changes to chapter 121 in reference to residential development and commercial restrictions to run more concurrent with the future land use
Comp plan.
comp plan.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion.
Can I get some clarity on what is in conjunction with the comp plan? Is there a set time or until brought back up?
The comp plan has the deadline that we have to have it done by, and what is that, Richard? Do you know, can you say that?
Even though the deadline is 2028, we'll be a year from now into discussions for sure about the comprehensive plan, and we'll have some draft ideas. As I understand it, the county attorney's office will also often talk to us about legally defensible ideas, decisions, and with any tabled item, or if there was ever in the future a moratorium, the max of a year is pretty maximum. Anything beyond that is potentially questionable. So by August 2027, we will have a good idea of the direction we're heading if a one-year period is potentially acceptable.
I'm fine with it. If we have a date certain where we know it's going to, I just want to make sure we know when it's going to come back. You can decide what to do with it at that point in time. If it's continue to consider changes, you can do it at that time, just so that we know when to bring it back.
We have to do it legally by 2028, so there is a definitive deadline where it has to be done. It can't go in indefinitely without being done.
For the comp plan?
Correct.
Yeah.
Is my motion sufficient?
I would like to set a date for this particular proposed amendment to come back, if it's 1 year, based on what Mr. Osborne stated, just so the board has it come back on an agenda, can decide if we've had enough discussions, or if we're down the path of the comp plan sufficiently to know what to do. If then you could go ahead and vote. If not, then you can postpone it.
Table it again.
Richard, are you fine with me putting a one-year deadline on it?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So I will amend my motion. I make a motion that we table the amendments to chapter 121 in reference to residential development and commercial restrictions for 1 year.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to table the changes to 121 for 12 months or 1 year. So we'll take that amended motion up first. Okay, all in favor of the amended motion, let it be known by showing your right hand. All opposed? So that passes 3-1. And so that's just part of the regular motion, so we'll just vote on the regular motion, which was amended by him adding that 1 year. So all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed?
What is this for? I'm so sorry. Same thing?
Yeah, same thing. Actual original motion, because when you amend a motion, you have to still vote on both. All right, so that passes 3-1 as well. All right, so we'll move on to our second public hearing. First up, we have the 2026 millage rate and property tax. This is the second of 3 hearings. The first hearing was held at 11 a.m. today. Third hearing will be held at 5 o'clock on August 20th. The board will have an opportunity at 6 o'clock on that same day to adopt the millage rate if they so desire. So no one signed up before we started for that one. But I will open the hearing for that. Is there anyone here who wants to speak in reference to the 2026 millage rate and property tax? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. Like I said, the third hearing will be August 20th. We'll move on to the new business. First up, we have consideration request for approval of emergency 911 recording system upgrade. This is $131,803.12. And this would be paid for with Splosh 7 funding. So you heard this a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago. There's no one here from the sheriff's office, I guess, or from 911. I did have one question, but there's nobody here to ask. Joy, you may know the answer to this. Are there any continuous maintenance charges associated with this that are going to be an ongoing every year thing?
There's $3,200. There's an annual fee of $3,200. Or, I'm sorry, currently they pay $3,200. Beginning in year 2 of this contract, there will be an annual fee of $11,896.
$11,000 a year?
$11,896.
That needs to be for the record for you, so you understand that. All right, so what is the pleasure of the board on that?
I make a motion that we approve the request for the new emergency 911 recording system upgrade, initial capital purchase, and
Well,
maintenance.
Well, the maintenance would be
for
voted
the
on
current year.
every budget after
Yeah,
that,
for the
yeah.
current year.
Current year, yeah. That's in the first, that's in that 131,803.12.
Did you say it was coming from SPOS?
Splosh 7,
Splosh 7.
okay. Motion by Commissioner Gaines, second by Commissioner Bruce, discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of proposal to change Board of Commissioner meeting times. I'm proposing we go back to the work session at 4 o'clock and voting session at 5, no earlier than 5 o'clock. And running the data that we've run shows that it doesn't change the numbers. Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board?
Can I check, was there a date that we needed, the first time that change will take effect? I think we had to postpone.
October 1st, okay.
Make a motion that we approve the changes to the Board of Commissioner meeting times. Work session start at 4 o'clock. Voting session to start no earlier than 5, beginning October 1st.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. That concludes our business for today. Thank you for your attendance, and with that, we are adjourned.